overtime pa yan.
Preparing to stream.
Okay na.
Okay.
Live stream. Ready na sa intro?
Sound check, sound check. Testing 1 2 1 2. Okay na, Jed? Okay na?
Mic mo na lahat. Off mic. Off mo na lahat ng video.
Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. So, welcome to the third episode of the Tech for Good Challenge podcast. So, Merry Christmas to all of you guys. And if you're interested in one of our activities, which includes our podcast, please make sure to follow our social media, which is on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Flipgrid, and Slack, named Claret Research Team.
Now, for episode 3, we will talk about water. Specifically, the role of water in our research. Now, to start off, uh, water is a vital source to life. And not only it can inhabit many microorganisms, but it is also the essence of life. Because if there is a water, there are life there's life nearby, because water is uh is is uh is helpful in creating life and sustaining life, uh and we are investigating the contaminations in water because of that. And in the previous episode, I stated a fun fact that most of the cities, mainly capital cities, are situated near a water resource, mostly on fresh waters such as rivers and lakes, but most of them are in connections with uh, with bodies of water. Uh, so Zai, do you have anything to say?
I don't. I think that if the if the waters are contaminated, then we are prone to sickness. I mean, in diseases, such as malaria or diarrhea, and also it affects the marine life too, since like I said again in the previous episodes, again I said again that the marine ecosystems are vital are plays a vital role in the planet. So yeah.
May I? That's some interesting point, because uh, not only water harbors life, but it also attracts large population. Uh, may I add more on that? The huge population are attracted to large bodies of water uh, because of marine animals, which can be the food source for us humans, and to supply huge demands from creating villages and communities. These water bodies are a hotspot for human activities. And to further on uh, uh, improve this point, uh, in our current societies, the rivers that is situated near on metropolises and big cities, big communities, most of them are, uh, let's say, either managed well or is extremely contaminated. One of these examples are Pasig River, and there's a river here in Zamboanga City called Tumaga River, and contamination from human activities is really showing. And this is to further improve the point that further improve that uh, water water as a support to human life, it is also prone to human destruction because it is being exploited.
May I add a little on that? So there is a when we're in a field trip, we go to Bolong Beach, the Bolong River, and the Zambu Wood. So what I noticed is that there are so many trashes. Like for example, cans, slippers, like diapers, bottles. There, the trashes are everywhere. Like everywhere I see. Like it's like you're when you're going to the Lumbangan dump site, which is where I live. I live in Lumbangan, but when I go there, it's like there are so many trashes I see everywhere, every single thing. Like it's really a big concern when it comes to our environment. So if it isn't take very seriously, then I'm afraid that it will get worse if this is not taking it very seriously. So yeah.
That that's a thing because when we go to the fun when we go to the field trip, specifically in Bolong Beach and River, I want to start in Bolong Beach because the infrastructure were situated near the water near the beach water, and it concerns me because uh do they have proper wastewater management? And and one more concern is that they have poultry, specifically chicken, that is uh, although not open range, but it is near the beach water, maybe about somewhere 10 meters. Uh, the feces, the manure of those poultries are a concern for me because it might contaminate the said beach. And one more thing is that the river, Bolong River, where we gathered the sample water is near a farm. It was livestock, I guess. There were carabaos and it wasn't
There
carabao.
are
It
there are
was
cows.
pig.
There are only cows
Yeah,
and
cows. Yeah.
pigs.
Yeah. Oh, there was pig.
Yeah, there are pigs, but mostly there are many cows in the area,
Yeah.
but there are a little bit of pigs. But I noticed
It's
that what
uh, you notice.
what I know in the river, what I noticed in the river, it's very dirty. Like it's like very very dark. It's so dark.
Yeah, and one more thing is that because there are nearby livestock near the water has some certain smell that almost similar to manure that we are passing by because the sample site was below a river bank. Then from what we have observed is that uh, there were manure along the path going to the riverbank, and I really I really think that the Bolong River is contaminated, rich with manure. Do you have anything more to add?
Oh yes, yes, yes. Well, there is one time when James and I investigated a what do you call this, a kind of a circle thingy, like when you say bacteria or something like that. What we notice is kind of very shocking to me, for me to say, because um mostly the bacteria is very dominant, but what yeah, it's very dominant. Like it varies some concerns on my part, because so like I said again, if it doesn't really taking it very seriously, then it will affect the marine life and also to us.
Uh, I would like to raise my gun, my curiosity within me. Uh, because if we are if we are to assume that Bolong River, Bolong Beach is being used as a recreational site, how about for Bolong River? I mean, it could be used as an irrigation, but the the Bolong River, since it is a fresh water. mm, oh yeah, while we were gathering sample sites, I have noticed that there were some kids that were in contact with the water, and that is the water is, I consider, a hazard, and I think that the possibility of being infected with any disease related to waterborne microorganisms can be inhabited by, especially by immunocompromised people. Mm. Oh, and one more thing is that I have read a paper about bacteria, and while it aimed to, because there's a division of uh ideas, I think, or rationale between salt water, saline water, and fresh water. It was found out that for salt water, the bacteria enterococcus is dominant in terms of health outcomes. And for freshwater systems, uh, E. coli has been claimed to be the most health dominant in terms of health outcomes. That There's the difference that I'm curious about, because we have been culturing we have cultured bacteria. We have cultured our water samples in our lab here in the Claret, but to identify that bacteria is still a mystery. But yeah, uh, I'm curious if it falls with the same findings to the claims that I have found. Hmm? Do you have anything to say?
Um, since it's about contamination, then if we are being compromised in a water, such as like, let's just say, a water that is very dirty. I don't know which how many waters are there are being dirty, but if we're being compromised to that water, then it can cause chemical toxins in our body, which is not very good in our health, and it really affects us. Like, um can be there are a few bacteria like pathogens, like, it can cause diseases in our body. So it is really, we are really prone when it we are going to be prone if it when it comes to compromising, if we are compromised by some bacteria in a water.
Yeah, that's the thing. You have mentioned earlier that something dirty water. Uh, along with researching and reading some literatures about water contamination, uh, there's some finding that I have gathered that dirty is a relative term. Uh, because there are many different what do you call this, standards for water quality. Then these standards are mainly set up through many many research and experiments, but uh, mostly this standard is being set differently according to different nations. And here in Philippines, since we have one national standard set out for water quality, uh, it is kind of mm, sus because if we will bring the topic of Manila Bay Restoration here in this podcast, and also uh, Boracay Beach Restoration, uh, they have been there are studies that have been confirming that the water in those two beach are have surpassed the national standards. And uh I I guess it's on the government because their inability to really enact on these issues. And that is why we as researchers we will go through this research to identify if our waters are really uh, relatively clean for human habitats.
So, what do you call this? So, when it comes to this to when it comes to the beaches, well, there are I think there is one more beach that I noticed. I think it is in Gulf. Yes, yes. I noticed, what I noticed is, there are so many like I said, that there are so many trashes, like diapers and something like that. But what I noticed in the ocean is that it is not very clear. Like, it is very I think it's very greenish, I guess. But you know it really concerns me again, because uh since what I've seen is that our ocean is not really clean at all. Like, since there are so many trashes in the area, and also in the rivers. So yeah, that's it.
That's the thing. Because uh, when dirty, let's say, debris or diapers, uh, we can assume that the water around the area is dirty. But uh, in the terms of in a micro scale, if that's a term, uh, is it safe? How far does the contamination go? Uh, is it safe at certain distance to still use the water, to be in contact with the water? Uh, there's some paper that I have read about bacteria being dispersed in the environment, and it is said that while while the bacteria can come from a concentrated source, it can be dispersed throughout the medium, let's say, in this example, the water, and might be relatively safe to be used.
When you said that the question is it very safe? Well, for me, I guess it is not very safe, because uh in diapers, like, there are bacterias, like, there are pees and there are poo-poos, right? So I think it is not really safe, because there are already bacteria in there. There are already bacterias in there. So I think it is not very safe.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've been claiming that thought because uh, somehow it is not safe for to see a source for contamination. But but the paper have challenged that thought, our thoughts about being safe to use because as said, being dispersed the contamination being dispersed throughout the medium can lessen its impact on human health outcomes. Sir?
Sir, I believe it's your turn, sir.
Minsan kasi.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon, sir.
So, you have mentioned a while ago that there were different sites that we were able to visit last time. But uh, it is very important also that we need to understand what is really water. We need to understand the nature of the water, what composes water, and let's understand the very subsystem that this particular compound belongs to. So we need to understand also our own planet. If most of the viewers right now are grade 11 students, then this information might be beneficial for them. Actually, I'm using I have a cheat note here. Uh, Water is kind of, we might see water is a very simple compound, but we need to understand deeply what is really water all about. Water, of course, is composed of two particular elements, and that is oxygen and hydrogen, right? So the oxygen is bonded with the hydrogen. There are two hydrogens bonded with the oxygen, and, and of course, they mingle with other compounds. Naturally, water is very soluble. Some part, some it is no not soluble. It's not soluble talaga in a way na water will be dissolved in other chemicals or solvents, but majority of majority of the solvents that we have in the laboratory is soluble in water. Say for example, hydrochloric acid, sodium hydroxide, they are very soluble in water. That's why we consider water as the universal solvent. But the question is, what makes this water a universal solvent? Number one is, based on what we have read, on what I've been reading, is that water is very abundant in the planet. Okay? It's abundant in the planet. And we cannot deny the fact that the water that we have right now is not depleting. Hindi siya nagde-deplete. It's not depleting. It's not decreasing in number, but it's increasing in number. And there are certain reasons why they are increasing. Based on the literature, 97% of the surface of our own planet is covered with water. Not 97%, but 97% of the total area that is covered with water are salt water. I think water is around 70 to 80% of the planet is covered in water. But 97% of that particular number is salt water. So majority, the bigger picture is the majority of the resource that we have for water is salt water, and the 3% are fresh waters. These salt waters are the sea, the ocean. Then the fresh water are, we have the ponds, rivers, groundwater. Now, I have mentioned a while ago that this water is part of the hydrosphere subsystem of the Earth. Now, we also have mentioned, right, a while ago that the water is increasing. Why? Why is it increasing? Why is it not decreasing? Number one, because of climate change. There is a rise of the sea level. The ice caps are being melted. No, the ice caps are being melted by the heat of the sun, and the ice caps, the glaciers, are fresh water. So if in the thermal process, from a solid substance in the ice, in the form of ice, they went through another thermal process of uh, evaporation because of the heat of the earth that is being radiated from the sun, and then it touches the water, then the water is connected to the seafloor, and conduction happens. So then the ice caps are melting, and then they are melting, they're evaporating, and then precipitating at the end. So it follows the natural process of water cycle. Okay, water is heated, then it is condensed. When it reaches the troposphere, the middle in the between the troposphere and the stratosphere, and then it is being precipitated. If there's too much water already, then this precipitation leads to what? To rain, to storm, to hail, snow, and whatever area they are located in the earth. So naturally, water is not increasing nor decreasing. But the the problem that we have right now is that how safe is the water that is being gathered or being pulled in our resource. And uh, we believe that water is really a source of life. But how safe is water?
Mm. That's a thing, sir. Because water can be different in many terms. If we focus on fresh water, uh, it is it is it's still uh there's a term. It's still uh there's still many strings attached to relating to water that we can call it clean or safe. And may I go back to the topic about fresh water and being the resource for life. Uh, I believe that if if we have thrived from safe water, uh, then we use this safe water. Then in time, this safe water will become a dirty water because of human exploitations and for survival of the community. And once we have used this portion of safe water, we are left with dirty water. And what we do with this dirty water is concerning because if we are to leave it in our environment, it could get back into our water system, such as the rivers. It could our wastewater could seep into the groundwater and infect the nearby water sources. And that's a concern, sir, because uh, as we have mentioned, water is vital to life. And if we don't have a clean water source, then technically there have been a study done that uh, uh, improper management of wastewater have resulted to more mortality rates. And while while it is uh it is a nuance. It is a nuance topic to be discussed. Uh, it clearly shows the importance of managing our water just from that study.
Yeah, because this safety of the water resource that we have is always correlated with the kind of environment that we have, right? Say, um, as you have mentioned a while ago that it's the water becomes unsafe if the community that we have there is kind of uh, contributes to the pollution of the system, placing their waste in the water system, and that's very evident here in our place, in our country, like for example, and not just here in our country, but everywhere, everywhere. That's why right now the United Nations have launched this sustainable development goals so that they can have a global effort to provide a clean water and sanitation to everyone, especially those who are living in the rural areas or in the places who lives in poverty. And maybe maybe it's also one of our efforts as members of the community to allow ourselves, immerse ourselves with water, how to take care of the water that we have right now. Especially that it's our main resource, especially fresh water. Yeah, yeah, especially the fresh water. It's ironic that it's 3%, right? It's very ironic because fresh water is just 3% of the total composition of the water surface that we have. 97% of salt water, and the 97% is not being used by humans, right? We are not using salt water. And who uses salt water? Marine life. But but the number one consumer of water is human beings, human life, and we only use 3% of it. If we take a look on it, it's a small number, but it's a huge amount already for the environment. So imagine you only take 0.5% accumulated 0.5% yearly of the total water that we have from the 3%, contaminate it with waste, with whatever, what would happen to the rest of the water? And remember that water is connected to everything else. It's connected everywhere, right? Even in the small gaps of small rivers, rivers are connected, estuaries are connected, deltas are connected, right? So if you imagine only 0.5% of the water is contaminated, what will happen to the rest of the 99.5% of the water?
So
So,
I sorry.
yeah,
Uh so since you said that what happens when what did you said again, 98% or 97%?
I think
Uh,
97% is salt water.
uh, that is contaminated due to what the bacteria, sir? For me, uh, I guess, sir, it there are a lot of consequences if the 97% of the salt water is contaminated, such as the marine life. They're going to they're going to be extinct, possible, because they because it is very important for them, and also for us, yes. I don't know, but mostly in my own opinion, mostly what uh what what do you call this, it is mostly on the marine life, because if 97% of what you said, if 97% of the salt waters were contaminated, then it will affect the the marine life. And also, additional to that, uh, uh, the, there since there are uh people who hunts fish. So if they hunt a fish that is already contaminated, then they don't have any sources of food, since since their lives are always catching a lot of fishes. Then they don't have any, like I said again, they don't have any sources of food. And or if possible, no fishes to sell for the consumers in the fishing industry.
Yeah, that's the thing. Because Philippines is covered with water, salt water to be exact, and this would create an opportunity to coastal communities to resort to using marine resources. And while it is still nuanced to discuss pollution or extinction for marine life, because uh, what I see with marine life is that while especially those who live in seawater is that uh, they have a chance for adaptation if only that the change within their environment is not abrupt, and they could also result to migration which can protect them, but that's another topic. While we should focus on while I would focus on the topic about uh, marine resources being destroyed, especially the ones that can't migrate, like corals uh, and natural animals that live on specific environments only, such as I think turtles and crabs. Not totally sure, but uh, if their habitat is changed, or let's say contaminated uh with other resource, then surely the coastal communities would suffer. And not only that, it would also result Philippines as in hypothetical sense, that the country would the the country would uh, totally suffer from this contamination. One thing is that the coastal waters are also used for many of the coastal waters are also used for recreational activities. And while it is important to focus on marine life because they are resources that we can use, uh, recreational sites such as beaches and islands can also become damaged and result to not being able to be used for recreational activities. Uh, but then again, going back, uh, it is interesting to discuss something nuanced such as water pollution, because there's so many broader topics that we can relate to water pollution, but uh, we can only choose limited topics that we can study, because not only limited resources but also uh, capabilities and such.
Still, yeah, that's correct. That's correct because everything that's happening right now, from contamination, from the water resource pollution that we have, everything happens right now is because of the abrupt change in our planet's climate. And what who is the number one contributor of the abrupt change? That's us, right? That's us, humans. And what do? We throw our trash everywhere. That's number one. Uh, we cut down trees and all. And number one, yes, we cut down trees because that would alleviate also the economy of the community, right? Especially those communities who are dependent with logging, right? But there are consequences to that. Remember that the trees also are holding into water. Why? The trees are connected to the ground, and the ground also has water. Right? Because there are two types of water resource also. We have the surface water and the groundwater, right? These trees are hanging onto the ground and they are getting nutrients from the water that's present in the ground. And what happens if we contaminate the water in the surface water? It's also connected to the groundwater that we have. Then what will happen to the trees? They don't have a good produce. Not just the trees, the plants also, they don't have good produce. They don't have good quality of water. They don't good quality of timber or wood or whatever. It goes down into the very action of the human beings on waste management. And right now, we are suffering from that consequence. Now, some communities in the Philippines are suffering from that consequence because of the abrupt change in the climate that we have right now. Recently, before the holidays, right? Some parts of Mindanao and Visayas are struck with the typhoon Odette. And and typhoons are also a process of water cycle. Nga lang, these typhoons are very catastrophic. They are formed using the process of precipitation, but they're more into the destructive part of the water cycle. But still, it's a natural phenomenon. And what's the connection with these typhoons, the formation of typhoons, with the water resource that we have? Right? There's no good flow of water in the community. If you really inspect every community, there is no good flow. When we say good flow, the water is not flowing continuously or not flowing in the manner that they should supposed to flow. Why? Because there are trash everywhere. There are waste that's creating a blockage to that. And what happens if there's a natural phenomenon that would struck a certain community? What happens to those blockages? Those blockages what allows the rising of the water level, because the water that's supposed to flow in cannot flow properly because of this blockage. So see, there's still a connection with everything. With the human activities, there's still a connection from the human activities that we have with the current situation. So let's not blame Mother Earth for doing this typhoon. Let's blame ourselves because it's a natural phenomenon. But how do we prevent, or we cannot prevent this phenomenon, but how do we prepare ourselves to mitigate this phenomenon? So still, every problem that we have in the nature is still connected with water. So it's very interesting for us to study water. It has a wide scope. It has
cancer.
People right now was devastated, right? They are in need of water. They cannot drink the water in the surface water. What if even in the groundwater? They can't drink it. They don't have access to good water, to quality water. That's why, right? There are many efforts right now. So still, it revolves around with the human activity. Maybe we can study that one. Maybe we can study that one. For those researchers listening to us, watching us, maybe you can study the correlation with human activity and the water activity. There might be a connection. There is really a connection, but to what extent? we give them an interesting idea.
That's the thing, sir. previously our study, our practical research topic was about to assess the mismanaged wastewater. And one of the literatures that I have found is that since storm surges can rise the sea level through through wind pressures and waves, uh the coastal communities that is situated on lower sea levels can be really affected by this phenomenon. And as you said earlier, sir, it was interesting because SDG 13 is climate action, and one of the indicators for SDG 13 is that we will lessen the impact of climate change, which is typhoon is a natural occurring phenomenon, but the phenomenon is getting stronger. The typhoons are getting stronger, and its effects are only becoming worse because we have water systems that are uh, mismanaged and blocked. And this is also part of the RRL that I have read, that uh, coastal communities during storm surges uh, have resulted to high reported cases of waterborne diseases, such as the leptospirosis from previous typhoons. uh, it is only showing how Philippines is mismanaging its water systems, mainly its wastewaters.
Yeah,
And
I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that paper. And uh, there are different cases, especially during typhoons. During typhoons, cases of leptospirosis are increasing rather. And the number one reason, I forgot what particular bacteria that affects that carries leptospirosis, but it's a dangerous one. And it's not just the bacteria or the bacteria or the one that carries leptospirosis, but there are lots of microorganisms that brings out different diseases that are present in our water. And where do we get those bacteria? Where do we get those microorganisms? Right? Where do we get those? I think
uh,
that's one good topic that maybe we can our readers or our viewers can search also, right?
may
There
I
are lots
add
of
on that point,
microorganisms,
sir?
not just bad
Uh,
but good microorganisms also. They are balanced. Everything is balanced. Everything is balanced. But the problem is, how do we take advantage of the balanced ecosystem? How do we manage the balanced ecosystem and not bring destruction to this? I believe, I don't know, but there are papers already that have been battling. They're battling between uh, microorganisms are developed naturally. Some are synthetic development in the laboratory, and of course, it boils down into waste management, right? It boils down into waste management. There have been an issue with the hospitals, right? Especially those hospitals that are near coastal area. I won't mention what hospital, but there are lots of hospitals, not just here in Zamboanga City, but across the country, across the whole world. There are hospitals that are near the coastal area. And where do they dump? there has been an issue with that. Where do they dump their waste? This hazardous waste. Remember that these are biological waste. There are pathogens, right? So where do they dump? So there has been a an issue with that because some hospitals are dumping their waste in the waters. Oh, I don't know. They have been contesting that there's a great development of microorganisms or spread of microorganisms because of waste management. Not just hospitals, but plastics and all. And I believe one of you mentioned a while ago that the food that we eat right now is contaminated. Right? It's contaminated. Yeah, Zydex have mentioned it. So that's true. But we don't feel the effect of the contamination. But if there's a huge accumulation of this waste in our body, then that's the time we can feel the effect. Right now, the trend right now is in environmental studies is the study of microplastics. How does microplastics affect the community? Remember that that plastics are polymer materials. They're not so easy to break down, even though some companies claim that their plastic material is an oxo biodegradable material. That these materials are can easily be decomposed. No, they can just be destroyed. But no, still, it's not totally. They're not totally being. I'm not sure if the term is decomposed or whatever. They are not totally being destroyed by the environment. Some of which are destroyed, and some of these particulates travels through water. Travels through water, and the marine life is eating it. There have been studies. There have been studies telling us that there are now evident. There are a huge number that's evident in the food that we eat from the marine life is contaminated with plastic. They're very small fragments. We cannot see it with our own naked eyes. No, these are microplastics and nanoplastics. We cannot see it with our own naked eyes, but it's there. It's there. So, see what human activity can do with our marine with our water resources.
That's the thing, sir. Kasi uh, when I heard about microplastic, it was about 2016, I think, or 2017. Uh, it was it was with uh the issue was ignited with the issue of with the whale eating, I think it was 20 tons of plastics or garbages. Then it suffocated, or it had digestion problems, and when it surfaced it was already dead, and they found that it had loads of plastics with
Loads of plastic.
yeah. That's the thing with microplastics. They are investigating the effects of plastics to marine animals, and how can they assure that there are that plastics are being eaten by animals? They have pointed out the culprit, which is microplastics. And it is scary we because we are a country with many seawaters and rich with marine life. It's a concern because our I think uh, most of the families would result to diets consisting of marine of aquatic foods, and if if they if the aquatic food is infested with microplastics, and it is surely concerning to to those who rely on aquatic foods.
May I add a ano in a another one, another explanation. So since since plastics can be a threat to the marine ecosystem because it brings a negative impact to aquatic animals and the ecosystem itself. So like I said again, if we didn't take this seriously and take the issue, I mean, fixing this issue immediately, then uh it will affect the marine ecosystem and the marine animals such as turtles, whales, uh, mostly turtles, but there are so many aquatic animals that can th- that that can that will think that plastics can be food. Um, and also to to the people who on the people who catches fishes uh uh fishes on their in their lives because like I said again, there are other people who likes to to catch fishes or hunt fish. So when like Mr. Sir Daniel said, so what we eat is what we didn't know is contaminated. So if this issue is not um taking it immediately, then it will get worse. So yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
may I go back uh, on the topic of typhoon and uh, climate action? One of the initiatives, which is by Claret and the Tech for Good organization, have been uh, included with the participation for the donation drive. Uh, we have initiated, along with uh, Claret School of Zamboanga City, Interact, uh, an organization here in Zamboanga City, and El Fuego. Uh, we have a donation drive going ongoing right now. You can drop it off at Claret School of Zamboanga City. Uh, just there's a facility. There's uh, a building, a small building beside the gate called guardhouse, and you can drop it off there. And usually there are people who will be uh, ensuring that your goods are being recorded. And can you see the pub mats?
Yes.
Yes. And we are also accepting GCash donations, uh, which is being shown right now. Or you can just go to our Claret Research Team page and see for more details. And and any donations that would help uh, uh, those who have been hit by Typhoon Odette, local name, will be surely appreciated. This donation drive will go on from today till December 28th, which is Tuesday. Uh, so that is all.
Yeah. These this campaign, the Tech for Good campaign, is also part of the initiative of Claret School of Zamboanga City Student Congress to bring uh, provide clean water and sanitation to everyone, especially those who are to our partner communities in Visayas. Claret schools, declaration communities in the Visayas area, in the Visayas region. We have in Leyte, uh, we have also here in Mindanao, we have somewhere in Sarangani, and the rest of the community. Um, this campaign would also like to provide good quality water to everyone right now, especially for those people who are stuck with this natural phenomenon that we have encountered or we have experienced. And this phenomenon is a natural phenomenon that happens that revolves with water. And still the consequence, the destruction is involving water. And the number one that they really need right now is a safe, quality, and clean water. So we are knocking the Tech for Good challengers together with the Student Congress of the Senior High School, the student government also of the Junior High School in partnership with Claretian Community, the Claretian Congregation, the Interact Club of Metro Zamboanga is knocking on your doors to join us in providing welfare to our fellow citizens here in the Philippines. So you may visit the Claret Student Congress Facebook page. You can also visit Claret Research Team Facebook page or Claret School Zamboanga City's Facebook page for more information with regards to this uh, donation drive. This activity or this donation drive is sole initiative of the Senior High School Student Congress who partnered with us, with the different groups in Claret School of Zamboanga City. So let's help our fellow men, our fellow countrymen who is now in dire need of our helping hand. So this initiative, so together everyone, Claretians, let's join Claret Counters Odette Donation Drive Program. So yeah, everyone is right now. I know everyone right now is feeling the spirit of Christmas. And this episode of ours, right, this afternoon is a Christmas episode since water is uh water is very important and we really need. And I believe most of the people right now are in different resorts, in different beaches, enjoying water. But as you enjoy, we don't want to spoil your vacation, your days, but as you enjoy splashing in the water, let's think of how safe is water. And yeah, right. How safe is water that you have right now? And we're not here to we're not here to discourage you from going to water resources, but we are inviting everyone to join our campaign to bring quality water to everyone. Not just the Claret Counters Cadet, but the whole Tech for Good campaign is advocating quality water to everyone.
So with that, we are really advocating for quality water. And so in part of SDG 13, which is climate action, which is to reduce the effects of climate change, uh, we would we would we would appreciate any kinds of help that you will be giving us. So, to end this, Zydrix, would you like to end this podcast?
So, everyone, before we end this podcast, we would like to thank you for listening to the third episode of the Tech for Good Challenge podcast. But before we going to end this podcast, if you're interested, once again, in one of our activities, which includes this podcast, please make sure to follow our social media in Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Flipgrid, and Slack, named Claret Research Team. And don't forget, if you want to give donations for the claret counters, Odette, please make sure to contact in our the Facebook page of Claret Research Team, the Claret Senior High School Student Congress, and that is all. So stay tuned on episode 4, everyone. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Happy Christmas, everyone.
Merry
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas to
sir. Christmas,
all.
everyone.
Merry Christmas and a
Bye.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Bye. Oh, roll.